Hello everyone, today we'll discuss C language including what is function, what is user defined function, what is prototype of a function, what is function definition and function calling. Function is self-contained block of statements that perform a specific task. All C language functions have self-contained block of statements. We just call them in our program such as printf, scanf, getch, etc. A user-defined function is a function which is declared and defined by user or programmer, is known as user-defined functions. When we defined UDF in C language, we must think of principles. So when we define user-defined functions, we must check that a function must have return type, function must have name, and function must have the argument. So when we write this line will be known as declaration of a function. Okay, so in any C language program, when we implement user defined function, then there are three principles. Number one, a user defined function must have prototype, a user defined function must have the definition, and user defined function may or may not be called in a main method, in main function. Here you can see, as I told you, that function must have prototype, definition. This is the declaration of function. Function must be declared. So this is the function has been declared. This is how we declared functions. So this is a function declaration in which there is a return type void, and there is a name of function message, and there is a argument of function message void. Void means there is no return type, and this void means there is no argument. So function must be declared. So this is declaration, and function may or may not be called. This is function called, and this is the definition of function. So there are three parts: function prototype, function calling, and function definition. Okay, whenever we write user defined functions in any C language program, the first line after inside the main method will be prototype or declaration of a function. How we declare functions? We first give the return type, then name of the function, then after return type of function. Then after, if you want to call function, you can call them with their names followed by the small brackets. If it contains arguments, we write the arguments here. If it is void, it means there is no argument, then you can leave the arguments and just give the two small brackets, and then after semicolon, then this line will be called function has been called by the main function. Then after the main method has been after the definition of main method, then you can define the definition of your function. So the function is message, this is prototype, this is calling function, and this is the definition of function. Inside definition of function, you can write the block of statements as long as you want. So in our case, we have only single statement. When compiler compiles this program, it finds first prototype. This is the declaration of function, just as we declare variables such as int a, int b, and float, num1, char a. So these are the declaration of variables. But how we declare functions? We declare function with return type and with argument and function name. So then after the declaration of function, compiler will finds that this is there is a function has been called. So compiler will pass the control from main method from main function to the message function. So compiler will the control will be passed from here to here. then compiler will execute the message body of the message function. Inside the body of message function there is only single statement, so it will print only inside the message function. Then after, control will be passed back to the main method from as it returns from. So it returned the last state of the program will be from here. So when body of the message function has been executed, then after, control will be passed back to the main method where it was passed. So here it will be resumed. Then after this statement, print f inside main function will be executed. Then the program ends here. Okay, so here is a function in user defined function. A function as in this case, you can see that there is no argument and there is no return type. So a user defined function, maybe it contains no return type and no argument. This is first form of user defined function. Or it may return the value and it may not have the argument, or it may have the argument, it may not return the value, or a function may return the value and with arguments. So okay, this is another example. In this case, user defined function have the no return type and no argument. So this is declaration of function after the main method, and this is the function where function has been called. So the calling function is main here. Then after, this is the definition of a function ghost. Okay, let's now practice here. Sorry. Okay, now here, okay, save it. I want to define a function. So when you want to define a function, you will write the declaration. You will declare your function as first statement of main method. So let's say void message. So function is not going to return any value, and function has no argument. So this is declaration function. This is declaration of function, and now print f. So inside and here I am going to call message. So function has been called by main. So as you can see, this is the declaration of function, or this is known as prototype of a function. Okay, we can say it is a declaration or it is a prototype. So then after you can call it, and the main thing is function definition. So you must define after the main method, write the name of the function, and you can write it here, the number of statements inside message function. Okay, now let's compile this program. Okay, you must give the small brackets. Okay, so 0 errors, 0 warning, and now let's execute it. Okay, here now you can see here inside main function has been printed as first, and then second is inside message function. If you call message before the statements, let's call it. So now when compiler compiles this program, it will declare a function, and when it comes here, then the compiler will pass the control from main method, because it's inside the main method. It will pass the control from main function to the message function. Inside the message function there is a single statement, it will be printed. So now what will be printed first? This statement will be printed first inside message function, then after inside main method will be printed on the second. Let's compile it, no error, and here we go. As you can see, before there was inside main function, but now it says inside message function. This line has been executed first, then after it executes this line. Okay, so this is the first type of user defined function which have no argument and no return type. If you want to do something like print table, then it will return some, you will pass, let's say int. Okay, so I'm going to define another function which is print table. This is my function, which is user defined function, and it returns 0, it returns nothing, and this function have single argument, which is type of integer. So when I'm going to define this function print table, so here I will give the int and variable name a, let's suppose, and when I says printf %d, okay, comma a, for I'm going to generate the table from 1 to 10. Okay, so the loop will execute from 1 to 10. All right, okay, then now here this a will be multiplied with a will be multiplied with I. Okay, so slash n. So here we are going to pass the value. So let's take the input from user. Enter an integer number. Okay, then scanf. Okay, num scanf and %d for the integers. Now assign this value whatever user inputs to the num. Then after that value will be passed to the function print table. Now when this program will be compiled, the compiler will find that there is a function definition declaration which is print table, and it has the argument. It must take the argument, and it has no return type. Okay, then after you can see that there is a message will be displayed, enter a number. Then after scanf will text the user the input from user, and then that value will be assigned to the variable num. Okay, then that variable will be passed to the print table, because there is only single argument we are going to pass in with function print table. When compiler finds this line, it passes the control from main method, because it's inside the main method. So this function has been called, and this is called function, and this is calling function. So here main is the calling function, and the print table is called function, called by the main method, main function. So control will be passed from main function to the print function. Okay, let's start from main function. After control has been passed to the print table function, then it will initialize a variable with 1. It declares variable, then initialize it, and loop will continue until its condition has been false. So loop will continue up to 10. So inside the printf, I said that multiply the number that the user has passed this. Let's suppose user have passed 2, then multiply 2 with 1, then multiply 2 with 2, multiply 2 with 3, multiply 2 with 4, multiply 2 with 5, multiply 2 with 6, multiply 2 with 7, multiply 2 with 8, multiply 2 with 9, multiply 2 with 10. So there will be the output. There will be the output, which is table of 2, which is the table of 2. So it depends upon the user what number he or she gives. Okay, let's compile it first. Okay, no errors. Let's execute it. Okay, here you can see it says enter an integer number. Let's say I'm going to give it 2. As you can see, it generates table of 2. 2, 4, 2 times 2 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, up to 10. Okay, and then after it executes the statement inside the statement, because when we call our function, it passes the control from here to here, and you can see when it reaches to the print table function, it executes the parent table function's body. So inside print function body, it execute loop from 1 to 10, as you can see. Then after, controls will return to the main method where it was passed. So control was passed here, then after it prints the inside main function. So it executes that line inside main function. So this is the second type of user defined function. Okay, a function can return a function can return value. So if a function returns value, let's suppose int, it will returns integer, it will returns, maybe it will returns float. Okay, and it returns float, and okay, so here we go. Here I will change this one. Okay, average function, average calculation. Okay, so this will calculate the average of two numbers. Okay, so inside this, it takes two arguments, type of float. Okay, so here we go, press and we repeat this. Okay, now we declare two variables. First is num1 and num2, which is type of float. Okay, then after, if it is float, then format specifier will be %f, and then let's call the function now. Once we have the values of two numbers, then we will pass these two numbers to our function, so that our function will gives the value. Okay, so here another variable result. Okay, so let's call the function average calculation, gives the number 1 and number 2. We are passing two numbers separated by comma. So now function has been called, average, call it will return. So okay, so as you can see, a function must return float data type, and the passing arguments must be float. Okay, so here we go. So it returns returns the average of two numbers, and the average of two numbers is that's a plus b, sum of all numbers divided by the total numbers. So I am going to give the two numbers, then after divide it by 2, because total numbers are 2, and let's add it and divide it. So this will returns the average, and I am going to assign that value to result. Okay, so then I am going to print the value /n, and here we go, the results, the average, the average of two numbers is %f and comma result. Okay, so here we are, let's going to compile it. So this will be the definition prototype of function. It returns float type of data, and it has two arguments. Okay, two variables will be passed, and there is a name of function. So this is a declaration of function, and there are three variables we have defined it here: number 1, num1, num2, and result. So from user we are taking two numbers, so this is num1 and num2. Okay, so both numbers will be passed to the function avg call. Then when compiler compiles this program, and when it goes here, and this will pass the main function, and control will be passed to avg calculation, avg cal function will the control will be passed to this function, and inside this function it will add two numbers, the first number and second number. Then it will divide it as the formula of the average, divide by the 2. Then it returns the value. It returns the float type of value, and this function will return the float type of value, and that value will be returned to the result variable. So whatever the value of the average calculation function, that will be assigned to the result, and then after we are going to print the average value. So the average value of two numbers is %f and result. So here we are going to print it. So this type of example has this is the fourth or third type of example of user defined function, which have return type also, and which have the multiple arguments. Okay, let's compile it and run it. Okay, no errors, and let's run it. Okay, let's enter one number. Okay, 4.0 because it's a float. Let's enter second number 5.0. Let's see what is the average of the number. Okay, the average of number 4 and 5, 4 plus 5 is 9, and therefore the average of 9 is divided by 2, which will be the result of there will be result of 4.500. So this is how we define our user defined functions. And so thank you, and if you have any question, please ask.